I did that. I think it eight. My books in my so. I know. Well, you say I look around and know it. Yeah, yeah, I don't. You. I assume was the says. But anything is. But if you. Welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting for the Monday, the 28th of July, 2025. Tonight we have a public forum item, and before I start that item, I will speak to recording of a public forum. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, public forums are video recorded and webcast. By speaking at a public forum, members of the public agree to being recorded and webcast. Albury City accepts no liability for any defamatory, discriminatory or offensive remarks or gestures that are made during the course of the council or committee meeting. Opinions expressed or statements made by individuals, the opinions or statements of those individuals and do not imply any form of endorsement by Albury City. Recordings are protected by copyright and owned by Albury City. No part may be copied, recorded, reproduced or transmitted without prior written consent of the Chief Executive Officer. Any recording is not and shall not be taken to be an official record of Albury City or discussion depicted therein. Thank you. So with that, I'll welcome former councillor David Thurley to speak to the conflict of interest. No, we have no conflict of interest declaration. I'll invite David Thurley to speak to CM 5.2, the cost shifting onto local government, speaking for the motion. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Mayor, I think it's not common to have a public forum directed at a mayoral minute, but I feel this is such an important issue that I speak strongly in support of the mayoral minute CM 5.2, cost shifting onto local government. While the full report by OLG has many examples of where cost shifting occurs and how much it costs councils across New South Wales, I'll focus on three areas that were hot issues during my years on council. The first was the ludicrous situation where council was required to bear the depreciation cost of rural fire service equipment despite having no say in the purchase, maintenance or disposal and renewal at the end of their useful life. The second is the requirement that council must provide pensioner rebates for rates, water and sewer charges. In every other state, this is a state government responsibility. In New South Wales, the state government gives some subsidies, but in the case of Albury, the cost to council is almost $700,000 per annum. And listening to recent debates in this chamber, it is clear that this money could be used in many other areas. Finally, I come to the matter of public libraries. For most of my years on council, I was the council delegate on the New South Wales South West Public Libraries Association and was chair for my final year on council. At every meeting, the delegates from the 25 member councils highlighted the financial stress their libraries were facing. Today, state funding for the Albury Library amounts to approximately 6% of running costs, and for many other public libraries in New South Wales, it is less. And the most blatant example of cost shifting is that Service New South Wales refers clients to the library to access certain services. This takes up considerable staff time and takes them away from other duties. I commend the Mayor for his minute, and I encourage Council to vigorously pursue this matter along with other New South Wales councils. Thank you.
Thank you, David Thurley. Any questions for David?
Thank you.
No? Thank you, David.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for great words. Okay. That completes our public forum. Now we'll move into the council meeting for Monday, the 20th of July, 2023. I'll start by speaking to recording and streaming of meetings. This council meeting is being webcast and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to being recorded and webcast. Please ensure that if and when you are speaking at this council meeting that you are respectful to others and use appropriate language. Albury City accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this council meeting. An audio recording will be made for administrative purposes. Conflict of interest declarations. Yeah. Prior to doing that, do the opening affirmation, please. We gather to represent the people of Albury who have entrusted us with this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, wisdom and common sense. May our personal values give us honesty and courage to serve our community effectively and with respect for all. The acknowledgement of country. We'd like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people as traditional custodians of the land that we meet upon today, and pay our respects to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, culture, tradition and hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that contribute to our community. Thank you. Okay, moving on to conflict of interest declaration received by the chair and disclosure of political donations. Mr. Zachnich.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. Two conflicts of interest declaration received for this evening's meeting. First one is a non-pecuniary less than significant conflict of interest from Councillor Callaghan, who is the council representative on the Mumma Interim Acquisitions Committee. Relates to item 13, CM 13.2 in the Mumma transition plan and funding update. And Councillor Callaghan will stay in the room while that matter is considered. And the further conflict of interest declaration is from myself as CEO, a non-pecuniary less than significant conflict of interest. I'm the council's guardian member representative on the Mumma Limited Board. Again, relates to item CM 13.2, Mumma transition update and funding request, and I'll stay in the meeting while the matter is considered. There are no other conflicts of interest declarations received, and in terms of disclosure of political donations and requirements of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, there are no development applications or like applications for consideration this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zachnich. 4.1, apologies. Thanks, councillors. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. I'd like to move the recommendation that council receives and note and accept the apology of Councillor Cameron and grant leave of absence for this meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second that, Mayor Mack.
Happy to put that motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Attendance by councillors in the meeting by audio visual link, CM 4.2. Thank you, councillors. Councillor King.
I move that council receive, note and accept the attendance of Councillor Glacken and Councillor Bukowski via audio visual link for the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Happy to put that motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM 5, Mayoral Minute. I have two items. First item is the 80th anniversaries of atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I move that council acknowledges the 80th anniversary of the US atomic bombings of the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki on the 6th and 9th of August 1945. We note the decision to use nuclear weapons by the Allies against Japan was a tragic necessity. This decision was not made lightly and was made following the Battle of Okinawa, in which the Japanese military forced the civilian population to fight and used them on numerous occasions as human shields. There was every expectation that even worse could occur during an invasion of the Japanese mainland. We honour the Allied servicemen and civilians of all nations who suffered and sacrificed in the Pacific War during World War II. Many of those who survived this conflict would not have if an invasion of the Japanese mainland had been necessary. notes that our city is deeply concerned about the grave threat that nuclear weapons pose to communities throughout the world. We firmly believe that our residents have the right to live in a world free from this threat. Notes that any use of the nuclear weapons, whether deliberate or accidental, would have catastrophic, far-reaching, long-lasting consequences for people and the environment, and properly is the policy responsibility of the federal government. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Hudson, question?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mack. I would just like to know this mayoral minute is different to the one that I believe was published in the business papers. I was just wanting to know where the change came from and why it was felt necessary, because I thought the original one was very good and comprehensive.
Yeah, Councillor Hudson, I offered response from the councillors, and it was this particular one was discussed, and basically I think it actually encapsulates a whole range of other issues that would be a more rounded and more holistic approach. So that's why I decided to move this one. Yeah.
Is it a matter of historical consensus that it was necessary to bomb Japan, and is Albury Council in a position to arbitrate that particular fact? My question is, I think that the original motion was extremely good, and I don't think there'd be anybody who could disagree with it. I'm just not convinced that Albury City is in a position to determine that the atomic bombings of Japan were necessary.
So, yeah, I accept that. However, the opinion is that it was a tragic necessity. History will tell you it was. Whilst some are divided on that issue, I understand that your issue, and I would support this as a tragic necessity because it does actually sympathise with all the allied and servicemen and civilians of all nations who suffered and sacrificed in the Pacific War during the World War II. It doesn't isolate itself to the fact that there was one side against another. So I think that is the balance that I'm attempting to arrive at with that particular motion.
Okay.
Councillor Glacken, question.
Yes, is it possible to scroll the screen up a little bit for the benefit of what I can't read? Thank you very much.
Yep. Councillor Callaghan speaking for.
Yes, just briefly, thank you, Mimak. Acknowledging the 80th anniversaries of Hiroshima and Nagasaki honours the memory of over 210,000 victims and survivors, while also serving as a sobering reminder of the human cost of nuclear warfare. This reaffirms our commitment to peace, diplomacy, and the lessons of history. Commemorating history helps us shape for a safer future. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaking against, Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I do echo the concerns of Councillor Hudson. I only have a hard copy today and haven't. I did see an email come through, and the change to B, I can't accept. I did go to the Hiroshima War Cemetery when I was at school in Japan for a year with my classmates. It was a shocking thing, and I really think there's no need for B the way it is to be in this mayoral minute. I can support it without that if it goes back to the original, but otherwise I can't accept it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. Speaking for, Councillor Hudson.
I'm proposing an amendment, Mayor Mack.
Yeah.
So I propose that we delete point B and that we delete the second sentence of point C, and that we include the wording of the original point A, which was in reference to the 210,000 victims of the attacks.
In point C.
I think that we can My amendment would be that we would return A to the original point A, we would delete this point B, and that we would delete the second sentence of point C. And the reason why I move this amendment is, frankly, I just don't think that Albury Council is in a position to determine a historical fact when I don't think that there is consensus amongst historians on whether or not it was a necessity, tragedy or not, and it very clearly was a tragedy. To drop atomic bombs. I mean, really, like I think the original Merrill Minute was fantastic, and I fully support it. I think that we absolutely should. Yeah, actually, now that I'm realizing, I think this motion doesn't mention anything about endorsing the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons, a city's appeal. So I think that, frankly, this new version doesn't have anywhere near the same impact as the original. So actually, I withdraw my amendment as I stated originally, and I'd amend that we would just return to the original one that was published in the business paper for the public.
Yeah. Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to
No.
support that amendment?
Yes, happy to second.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson, do you wish to speak any further to your amendment?
No, just to say that I think the original Merrill Minute was very good. I was extremely happy to support it. I think you know, we're facing a lot of global uncertainty now, where it seems to be the trend is towards proliferation rather than disarmament when it comes to nuclear weapons. And I think that Albury endorsing the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons cities appeal is a really positive step. I note that ICANN visited Albury a number of years ago. I even held their Nobel Peace Prize that they had won for their efforts, and the Albury Library Museum. And I believe former Councillor Fairley may have been there at the same time. I may remember that. So I think the original Merrill Minute was very good, and I'd be very happy to support that.
Thank you. Any more speakers for or against? Speaking against, Councillor Glacken.
Yes, I speak against the amendment. I'm not sure why it's an amendment and not a foreshadowed motion should the original motion be lost. However, speaking against the amendment and speaking for what was on the screen earlier this evening and moved by the Mayor, I speak for that motion because it was more encompassing and it also confirmed that this is the realm of any decisions on this is really the realm of the federal government. It is not part of the local government remit, and so that is why I cannot support Councillor Hudson and Councillor Callaghan's motion and would in fact support the Merrill Minute as was moved by the Mayor about 5 minutes ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glacken. Noted. Other speakers for or against or questions? No. Councillor Hudson, do you wish to close debate on your item?
Thank you, Mayor.
No. Happy to put the amendment. Those in favour? Is that against or favour on the screen? We've got 2 against. I'm going in favour. We've got 3 against. We've got 4, or 5. The amendment is defeated. So the original Mayor Minute will stand as the motion. We get that back up on the screen. Thank you. Is there any further discussion on that particular item? Thanks, councillors. No. Happy to put that item. All those in favour? Those against? The minute is carried, or the motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to CM 5.2, cost shifting onto local government. The council note the findings of the LG New South Wales cost shifting report for the 2023-2024 financial year. And 2, that a copy be placed on council's website so that our communities can access it. The council write to the Premier, the New South Wales Treasurer and the New South Wales Minister for Local Government seeking they urgently seek to address cost shifting through a combination of regulatory reform and appropriate funding. Okay. So that is the minute. To any question or debate, councillors? No, happy to put that minute. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you. CM7, confirmation minutes of the previous meeting. 7.1, minutes of the meeting held on the 14th July 2025. Councillor Hudson.
Oh, sorry, Mayor Mac, I pressed yes, so because I wanted to speak to the previous mayoral minutes.
I'm involved with that. Yep, you're happy to move that, Councillor Hudson?
Yeah,
Yep.
happy to move as a
Second it.
recommendation.
Councillor Hudson, Councillor Callahan? Yep. Happy to second the minutes. I'm doing the minutes first.
What?
It's not the next item on the agenda though.
I'll move the actions then, will I?
Yes, thank you.
Moving on.
Yes, can we
I know
have
I know
CM
you're locked in on
6.1?
things, but the agenda can be flexible.
Go for it.
Okay, I'll move the action plans. Councillor Hudson, you happy to move the action plans CM6? Thanks.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Callahan, you happy to second that?
Absolutely.
Any questions or debate? Councillor Hudson, did you wish to open debate?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Any perfunctory questions or movement? No, all happy to move those. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Confirmation minutes of the previous meeting held on the 14th July 2025. Councillor Callahan.
I'd like to move the recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 14th of July 2025 at 6 p.m. be confirmed.
Thank you. Councillor King.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Callahan, do you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
There appears to be no question or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Reports from community forums. There are none. Notice of motion rescissions. There are none. Presentation of deputations. There are none. Reports and minutes of committees and working parties. Minutes of the Sports Albury Advisory Committee meeting held on the 21st of May 2025. Councillor Callahan.
Thank you. I'd like to move the motion that council receives, notes and accepts the minutes of the Sports Albury Advisory Committee held on Wednesday, the 21st of May 2025. Thank you.
Seconder, thanks. Councillor King.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Councillor Callahan, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you.
Appears to be no question or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. CM 11.2, minutes of the Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting held on Tuesday, the 10th of June 2025. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I move that council receives, notes and accepts the minutes of the Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting held on Tuesday, the 10th of June 2025.
Thank you. Seconder, just Councillor Callahan.
Happy to second.
Councillor Hudson, do you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. There appears to be no question or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Documents for sealing. CM 12.1. Thank you. Anyone? Councillor Bullivant.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I move the recommendation that council authorises its seal to be affixed to the documents outlined below in the presence of two signatories authorised to affix the seal pursuant to Regulation 400 of the Local Government Act General, Regulation 2021, and the council seal and management of legal documents and advice procedure. A, Albury City Crown Lands lease renewal to Albury City Football Club, Inc. Soccer at Gelbo Park, commencing July 1, 2025 for 5 years. File number 09/01769. B, Albury City lease renewal to Thaguna Community Centre, Incorporated, commencing 1 July 2025 for 5 years. File number 12/00747. C, Albury City lease renewal to Arana Community Centre Incorporated, commencing July 1, 2025 for 5 years. File number 12/00739. D, Albury City lease renewal to Westside Community Centre, including Mulga Inc. Mulga Place, commencing 1 July 2025 for 5 years. File number 10/02564. And E, Albury City lease to Albury and District Aero Club Incorporated, Lot 43, Albury Airport, commencing July 1, 2025 for a period of 5 years. File number 20/02807.
Thank you, Councillor Bullivant. Seconded, Councillor Callahan.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant, do you wish to open debate on those items?
After reading that one, Mayor Mac, no, thank you.
Thank you. There appears to be no questions or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour, thanks. Anyone against? The motion is carried. 13.1, the Lamington Drainage Reconstruction, Baronia Street to Railway Line Contract, number 25/01170. Thank you, Councillor King.
I move that council, pursuant to section 1781A of the Local Government General Regulation 2021 New South Wales, resolves to accept the tender from Nowbro Kerr Proprietary Limited and awards contract number 25/01170 Lavington Drainage Reconstruction, Baronia Street to Railway Line for the tendered lump sum price of $1,160,687, including GST.
Thank you. Councillor Blacken, did you wish to second?
Thank you. Seconding.
Thank you. Councillor King, did you wish to speak to that?
To acknowledge that our improving our stormwater drainage facilities is really essential infrastructure. As we've seen, when there have been massive flood events, this certainly has been an issue, and the section of drain in question is in excess of 50 years old. The officers report the sidewalls are in particular showing signs of stress through extensive cracking and some sections of the wall totally failing. So there is no doubt that this is a piece of essential infrastructure that needs to be tended to. So happy to support the motion and the selection of the tender given their due diligence.
Thank you. Question from Councillor Hudson. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. Through you to the most relevant member of staff. I was wondering whether any other treatments were investigated for this drain. I understand that you see as is, it is failing and absolutely needs to be replaced. But I was wondering if there was any consideration given to, say, covering over the drain.
Mr. Lawson, thanks.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mayor Mac. No, the consideration was really around replacement of the existing infrastructure. Any enclosing of the infrastructure would incur extra cost. It was considered that the replacement of existing was sufficient to maintain the flows through the drainage system.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker 4, no questions. Councillor Bullivant.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. As with most people know that I'm big on infrastructure, the better we get infrastructure laid down and repaired, the better it makes our city. But also pleasing to note that out of the two tenders, the tender that's been accepted is 26% less than the out of the two tenders. So our staff have done the due diligence and make sure it's QS'd properly. So well done, guys.
Thank you, Councillor Bullivant. There appears to be no further questions or speakers for or against. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. 13.2 Mama Transition Update and Funding Request. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Roz. I have an alternative motion.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. It's on the board.
Right. You happy if I can start reading why, Roz?
Yeah, you can
Thank you.
read that.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to move that council declines the financial assistance request from Mama Limited, determines not to proceed with the transition of Mama to separate entity management, given the current economic climate, rather continues to manage Mama as a council service and facility. And as the Guardian member, pauses any action to wind up Mama Limited at this stage and instead retains the entity in a dormant state while council monitors future financial conditions and considers whether a transition to separate entity management may become viable in the future. Establishes a skill-based Mama Advisory Committee to provide specialist strategic and policy input to guide the future operations of Mama. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski. Happy to second. You need to put your mic on. We need it on audio. Thanks.
Yes, happy to second. Thank you, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to speak to that at all?
I might hold my right of reply.
Thank you. We have any speakers for or against? Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bullivant and Councillor Bukowski speaking for. Councillor Bullivant, you're away.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mac. Only 2 meetings ago, we sat in this chamber and we decided on our budget going forward for the next financial period. So what concerns me is that we've suddenly come back 2 weeks later with a motion looking for nearly $1 million, which I might add that our staff, under this council's guidance, had been asked to look at our budgets everywhere. We've taken money from this, we've taken money from that, because ultimately we've got to find the bottom line to make our council viable. So to come back 2 weeks later and ask for $1 million for an assistance package, to me, seems a little bit rich. And given that we didn't have much feedback prior to the budget process, and I get the reasons why, but $1 million in my book is a lot of money. And I thank the Mama Board for the presentation last week. And some of the things that in the presentation are based on assumptions. The assumption that we're going to get more grants going forward. We've got grants for 4 years. I get that. That's the state government grant, Arts New South Wales. We're going to get more. That's an assumption. The assumption that we're going to suddenly cater to the corporates and have function after function in Mama, when Mama and its business plan originally 10 years ago, that was already in the system. The assumption that we're suddenly going to sell millions of dollars worth of merchandise, and the assumption that we're suddenly going to get more philanthropic and more legacy donations. We know Australia-wide that philanthropic donations and donations in general to public amenities are on the decline. So at this particular moment in time, I cannot support the Mama money because of the financial constraints that the council's under and the good work that the staff has done in getting the budgets in order. So, and I have concerns about the accelerated review about some of our I've got to get my notes here, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a heap of them here. Reviews about cultural activation, accelerated service reviews. We've got no clarity in that. What does that mean for our people? You know, in the future, staff maintaining a structure that we've got in place. The staff at the Mama do a very, very good job now. I was actually there today and last Friday, just going through the place. The staff don't know who I am, but it was a pleasurable experience going there. So by having it as a standalone entity at this particular moment in time, I can't see it. The plan to me has got more holes than a slice of Swiss cheese. I'm terribly sorry, but that's where I'm at with that one. Thank you.
Councillor Bilbin, I have a speaker against, and Councillor Blackman. Question from Councillor Baker first.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I wasn't here for the presentation last week, but maybe if I could have a little bit of history from the General Manager. So in 2018, the previous council before, so 3 councils ago, if this is correct, so it's a long-winded question, but they, I understand, decided to transition into a separate entity. Is that correct?
Mr. Zachnich?
Thanks, Mayor. That's correct. So the council of the day endorsed a model to move Mama to a standalone independent entity for a whole range of reasons that are detailed in the report. So that process started in 2018 and has continued in stages up until this point.
Follow-up question. So this motion is pulling that apart and going back to council operating it as per pre-2018 meeting. Is that the way it looks up there to me?
Mr. Zachnich?
So some of those components would pause the current process, and the rationale, as I understand it, is because of the economic current economic circumstances, which were perhaps less of an issue in 2018, 2019, 20 when this proposal was looked at initially.
Follow-up?
Another question. Yeah. So how would that impact the operation of Mama as we know it today? Would the current employees be prepared to hang around if it was back to council and to grow under council operation?
Mr. Zachnich?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So from the employee's perspective, they currently will continue to be employed by Albury City. The motion seeks to re-establish essentially an advisory committee that was in place prior to the commencement of the transition, and the current Mama board is because it hasn't transitioned fully to taking over operations at Mama, is essentially providing that advisory role currently, even though it is been registered as a company limited by guarantee. It's still operating as in an advisory capacity at this point.
That's it for the time being, but yeah, I'd like to hear some more speakers on the topic, and I'll come back to it later. Thank you.
Councillor Glacken speaking against, thanks.
Thank you. And I highlight, Mr. Mayor, that should this alternative motion as has been suggested by Councillor Callaghan and seconded by Councillor Bukowski be lost, then I foreshadow that I would move the original motion as was in our report, and I'll confirm why. The reasons that I speak against the alternative motion put forward and confirm why I would support the original motion that was in our report is because at B, people will note that it was going out for public consultation. The concept of the previous report was that we would consult again with the community with reference to Mama going out as a separate entity, but we would be consulting about that. This is not that final decision-making time. That's number one. Number two, the process of separating or moving Mama at arm's length from council has taken a number of years, and it's taken a number of years for a significant number of reasons, which are all valid reasons, and it's not taken very long for each of those processes, but they are a series of advancements that need to be undertaken to enable this to happen. They were not able to happen simultaneously. They were sequential steps and hurdles that needed to go through. Throughout that entire period, the staff have continued to support the process on the basis that it was the best way forward for the longer term of attracting separate funding other than directly from council. Mama as a separate entity would enable the community to have the confidence that they would be able to contribute to an entity that was not directly related to council. Indirectly, yes, but not directly related to council. It is my view that we should progress this at least to community consultation or public consultation, and then reconsider whether or not we would make that final leap forward. So I think this alternative motion is a little preemptive and a little early. We're not ready yet to make that final decision because our community have not been consulted in that final step. So I believe that we should put this out to community consultation. And I also believe that the staff are correct that it would, at arm's length, be an entity that would attract greater financial assistance from other areas other than council. It has never been suggested that there would not be the need for support on an ongoing basis from council. But Mama would benefit from being at arm's length and not directly operated by council. So I confirm, I foreshadow that should this motion be lost, that I would be moving the original, I would intend to move the original motion from our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glacken. I have several questions before I take a speaker for. Councillor King, question?
Would the Councillor Callaghan and Councillor Bukowski consider placing this proposal on public exhibition for 28 days in accordance with Section 356 of the Local Government Act as per the recommendation, perhaps as a compromise to seek community feedback.
Councillor Callaghan.
Can I ask just a question? It probably quite relates to this. My question is, were the community consulted in 2018 when the decision was made to go through the transition process?
Mr. Zachnich.
Thanks for the question. So the transition process aligned with the then initial financial assistance program or package that was placed out to community consultation, so that they happen simultaneously.
So were the community consulted around the opportunities to demerge from Albury City Council in the first place to become Mama Limited as its own entity? Did that go out to public consultation for 28 days in 2018?
I'd have to check that information, but the proposal and the model was certainly reported to council at that time.
Do any of the staff recall, perhaps Mr. Zachnich? Because
I can take that on notice. Specifically, if we certainly went out as part of the financial assistance package of financial assistance for Mama as a arm's length entity, that certainly happened.
Mr. Zachnich, just a question in relation to that for clarification. In relation to the original motion, is it applicable in this context that it go out for 28 days? Is it a legal requirement that this motion be considered by the community as in 2018? I don't believe it was put out to the community for consideration because it was an operational matter. But in this case, because there's no further money being spent, is it necessary for it to go out for 28 days? Is it a legally binding requirement?
Thanks for the question, Mayor Mac. So no, not a legally binding requirement in relation to this motion.
But it is in relation to the previous motion, which is the original motion.
It isn't either, because the request for financial assistance is an amount over and above funding that council's already approved and has been out to public consultation. The reason we're recommending or including a recommendation that it does go out to public consultation, notwithstanding the fact that it doesn't need to, we're recommending it does because of the nature of the change to that financial assistance, even though the quantum means that it doesn't need to legally. So we're recommending that it does based on, keeping the community informed on what's proposed as part of additional funding for Mama that's been requested to enable the transition model.
Yeah, so it's the funding that is more the issue than it is about the formalisation of the process.
Correct. It's the additional funding on top of the budget. Council's already allocated this financial year for the next 5 years.
Thank you. Councillor King, did you still want to pursue that suggestion?
I'm happy to leave it with Councillor Callaghan as a suggestion if that was something that Councillor Callaghan and Bukowski were happy to do. But thanks for that clarification. It seems like I guess my instinct would say, given it is such a change up, that is perhaps something to consider.
Yeah.
That's all.
Councillor Callaghan, would you consider that being added to the motion?
I don't think it's necessary. I think we're kicking the can down the road. It's a financial decision. We made financial decisions in the budget. It should have perhaps been a part of that decision-making process with the budget and gone out to consultation. Had that have happened, I would have been happy to, but no, I don't think it needs to go out to public consultation. I think this is a decision for us to make here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker, what are we up to? We had a speaker 4. Do we have a speaker? Speaker 4, Councillor Bukowski.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. So just briefly, Council has had to make incredibly difficult budgetary decisions in this financial year. They weren't easy decisions, but they were necessary in light of the significant budget deficit that Council is currently working to address. And while I acknowledge the vision of Mama and appreciate the work that is being done by the board, I do have serious concerns with the information that was provided to us as a council group. Firstly, there was no clear or independently verified business plan. What we were provided with were projections, best case assumptions around increased philanthropic donations and potential funding sources. There was no guarantee or demonstration of how these revenue streams would be secured or sustained. Secondly, there was also no commitment from the Mama board that council funding would be phased out or reduced after the transition period. In fact, the model appears to continually rely on council ratepayer contributions well into the future, despite seeking independence for the purposes of attracting philanthropic funding. And lastly, the risks are considerable. Council would be underwriting this transition without any assurance that it would lead to long-term financial sustainability or reduce our ongoing financial obligations. I think it's important that council weighs this proposal against other core priorities and services in a climate where we're asking our ratepayers and community partners to tighten their belts, and where we have scaled back, for example, funding to direct crisis support services. I can't in good faith support the allocation of close to $1 million in additional funding and in-kind support to Mama based upon what is at best an untested and aspirational plan. So for me, it's not a no, it's just a not yet. I'm not opposed to Mama's vision, but I do need to be satisfied on behalf of our ratepayers and in light of the difficult financial decisions we've already had to make this year, that this proposal is sustainable long term and that this transition is economically viable and responsible. And unfortunately, at this point, I'm not satisfied. And this is essentially why I'm supporting Councillor Callaghan's alternative motion.
Thank you, Councillor Bukowski. Speaker against, no questions at this point. Councillor Baker. Question, Councillor Glacken. We'll take the question first then.
Thank you. Not removing my foreshadowed motion, but can I ask Councillors Callaghan and Bukowski if they might consider adding as part of, where is it? The third dot point, adding that this be reviewed annually. Or with review provided to councillors annually.
Councillor Callaghan.
Seems reasonable.
So instead of may become viable in the future, management may be reviewed annually.
In the future, and then just add to after dot point, reviewed annually.
The future.
Yes.
Future.
I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Are you happy with that, Councillor Bukowski? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Councillor Bukowski. You comfortable with that? Yep. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Blacken. Speaking against, Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Memak. I think the question for council is we can decline the financial assistance request from Mama Limited without doing the rest. I can't see, we can say that no extra money, but continue along the track that that's been put in place by two councils now. And I just don't quite understand how we pull things apart on a whim at a council meeting without doing due process, discussion, workshopping, doing it in a good business way. It is hard to fathom for me. So I'm speaking against this motion. I think it's hasty, not well thought out, and a mistake. And I do know everything that I see council operate ends up costing a lot more than when we have an independent organisation running it. So I think we'll either have to cut the services and wind back Mama in a big way if council operates it. And it probably, in my book, will be the death knell for Mama. So I'm speaking against this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. I have a speaker for Councillor Hudson. Just one question, probably for Ms. Code. In relation to, there's a paragraph in the report that there's a total of $400,000 in operational project expenses has been incurred by Albury City as part of the transition process since 2022, including legal expenses, external reviews, associated board costs, and a transition for coordinator secondment position. And in the motion, it mentions that there was $265,000 allowed for a 12-month fixed term transition coordinator position. I'm just a bit confused because I know that we asked previously on email what it had cost thus far, which is around 260,000 in relation to the transition costs. The 400 combined with the 265 with the 265 is 530. So I'm just wondering where 400 comes from. Is there any clarity to that one, Ms. Code?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Mack, and through you. Yes, the 265 transition cost is for going forward. So that is the money that Mama Limited would require to implement the transition, legal fees, policies, development, IT. The $400,000 is the sum total of all of the costs since 2018-19 that has been incurred in coming to this stage of the project. So Albury City's transition costs that we have allocated towards this project.
Okay, so the transition coordinator's comment position was investigation of thereof, was it?
Thank you, through you. The future transition coordinator, if it is approved, is part of the $265,000. There is no transition coordinator at the moment.
Yeah, but it does say and a transition coordinator. So comment position is included in that 400,000. I'm just wondering if that's a typo or it is in relation to investigating that.
Thank you. Through you again, please. In the past, we have had a transition coordinator, so therefore, and a transition coordinator. So cost has been allocated for a dedicated resource to do this in the past. Mama Limited would be seeking an additional new transition coordinator in order to implement this work.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson speaking for.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I do speak for Councillor Callaghan's motion. I would echo the words of Councillor Bullivant and Councillor Bukowski. I have no ideological position against an independent mama. I think it's a good idea in theory, but at this stage, it really does just appear to be a theory. I'm not convinced. To, I suppose, address something that Councillor Baker said, speaking against, we did have a briefing session about this last week. But to me, I mean, I have serious concerns about the timing of all of this anyway, because we've just gone through a lengthy and somewhat bruising budget process, and now we're being asked to consider essentially an additional $1 million for Mama with a week's notice. That to me is not acceptable. But the thing that is the thing I find least acceptable is that in the original motion, point E says that the additional funding in 25-26 of 265,000 for transitional costs, and in 26-27 of 500,000 per annum for 5 years, subject to rate peg increases, would be offset through a decrease in cultural activation service levels. This is completely unacceptable to me. We can't be taking money away from other cultural activation in the city. We've been forced to decrease service levels across the board. We had to fight to get an additional $25,000 just to retain the community and cultural grants at the position that it's been, even though 50,000 per annum for the community and cultural grants is far, far below where it would be if we had, say, pegged the increases in that financial assistance to the rate peg. So it's completely unacceptable to me that we would suggest that we would offset, it would decrease cultural activation service levels across every other aspect of what council does in that space to give to Mama. Mama's a fantastic facility. It's a really it's a huge selling point for the town. I'm really glad that we live in a town that has a facility like Mama. I think it's wonderful, but I'm left just completely unconvinced that the current transitional plan will meet its stated goals. And, we've told in the report that the risk over the long term is that without adequate earned and contributed revenue, Albury City's contribution would need to increase. Or the service levels would need to reduce. Well, to me, $1 million in one hit is a significant increase in the short term. And then I note that even, for example, in the budget projections that by 2031, the net improvement in Mama's position is projected to be less than the increase in council's contribution to Mama from the year prior. So to me, that says that council's contribution is increasing one way or another. And so I think that at this stage, it's very sensible that we pause this transition. I think it's sensible that we're not wrapping it up entirely. And I think that the idea that we would review it yearly is a good one. So I support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. No speakers against, no questions. Councillor King speaking for.
I support this motion in recognition of our financial sustainability situation that we find ourselves in. I feel the wording of this motion is it's not going one way or another. It's pausing it. It's not saying we're definitely heading one way at the expense of another. So that gives me comfort, and I commend Councillor Glacken by adding the review of councillors annually. That gives us another 12 months to obtain more information and to ask questions, and perhaps to Councillor Bukowski's point, a business case potentially could be in the offing. So I'm happy to support this. Also agree with Councillor Hudson. I was quite dismayed that the budget that we've all looked at and we're happy to support looked as though it was going to pull funding from community-focused cultural activation and be popped into Mama to help with their financial assistance requests. So that didn't sit well with me either. So in a perfect world, 2018, I think there was a clear direction, and I think everyone was on board then. The previous council, we continued it on. A lot has changed between then and now, and I think to Councillor Bullivant's point, we've really got to be mindful about where our money goes. So happy to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor King. Any further questions or debate? Just one before we close. I'd just like to also support this motion. What is certainly a quandary to me is the fact that, and whilst there has been some explanation about the timing of this particular approach being after the budget, what I saw during the budget process and in previous iterations of budgets, I saw a lot of pain and a lot of concern on our staff, their faces, and they were asked to do a lot of things that they search for savings and they search for opportunities to provide savings. Yet then this particular amount is foisted upon us last week, and to see that it would be coming from cultural activation and we haven't done the accelerated review on that yet, it's quite surprising. I believe the accelerated service reviews are designed to find further savings, not find further money for other projects which come in late and certainly are not considered by this council. The second part is, while I do acknowledge the board of Mama and the hard work they've done since 2018, and I certainly was part of that council, but part of that motion was to investigate the transition opportunities for Mama. And I note there's been 3 or 4 other occasions since that period where reports have come to council to further that investigation, and certainly different levels of adoption. But to this point, we were asked to find $1 million for something that would then be at the expense of other people, projects and opportunities. And I just can't see, looking at the dollars in front of us and certainly what is in that report, there's a lot of assumptions, as has been mentioned, and one of the gross assumptions about the retail space is quite beguiling, given that it's not going to boost that project or that proposition to a point where it'll become viable. Philanthropic attention, philanthropic money can't be used for wages and can't be used for other things. So essentially, I can't see how that will help. We've already got a foundation that has in the past raised funds for Mama's acquisitions. And certainly the other thing that events, and it was raised in our workshop, and I'll paraphrase Councillor Bullivant in that context, that the events could have been run over the last 5 years, last term of Mama. Why haven't they been? And if it was such a great attraction, if the events were available, we should have resourced them. So essentially that's our remit. So having a independent body is not going to change that. Whilst I'm very passionate about Mama because it was something that was built during the tenure of my first council. I think essentially Mama needs that big launching point, but I just don't see at this point with the current economic climate that it behests to this council to provide that by providing $1 million at the expense of other projects and other great community organisations that run great events. And look, I would like to actually look at what we do in that space, because Arts New South Wales or Creative New South Wales are reducing their funding. Albury is one of 3 regional councils that received operational funding for the next 3 years. There's an assumption we'll get it for 5 years. Again, that's $500,000 that is assumed that we will get. I'm not confident that we will. So thank you for bringing the motion to council, Councillor Callaghan, and I'll send it to you for closing.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I had plenty to say, but I feel like the councillor cohort clearly listened last week and have taken on board what we'd heard, but also read clearly through the documentation. I was actually a supporter initially of the proposal to go to transition when I was first elected as a council, and I had the good fortune to go on the acquisition committee. However, it's very obvious that since 2018, the financial climate has dramatically changed and the climate of Albury City Council has changed. That base funding will still be there for Mama to thrive and do the wonderful job that they do. But at this time, I just can't support the project. When I look at what we were discussing, despite claiming independence, Mama remains even more dependent on council with the model moving forward. The proposal I view is high risk and low return and perhaps out of step with its original purpose. So I can't support the further funding at this time. I think it's contradictory to demand more funding while insisting you're becoming independent. So I implore my fellow councillors to support the motion here this evening, noting the amendment up there that it'll be reviewed annually. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM 13.3, Dean Street Parklet, updated next steps. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Callaghan again.
Thank you. I'd like to move an alternate recommendation. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I'd like to move that Council A, retire the parklets, B, initiate a public expressions of interest process to explore the sale of the assets, and C, restore the car parks. D, use this as an opportunity to refocus on strategic CBD revitalisation.
True. True supposed to be there?
No, that's full stop.
We just need to remove through until full stop.
Oh, I had community informed placemaking.
Through community informed placemaking. We need to add that then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Councillor Bullivant.
I'm happy to second that, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to open debate on that item?
I do. I'd like to present the fact that the original intent of the parklets was temporary. The parklet was introduced as a short-term COVID recovery measure. It was never designed to be or intended for it to be long-term. There's no strategic framework in place for the parklets. The CBD master plan that I saw when I was first elected as a councillor in my first term has been deferred because we have focus areas in Thurgoona Warringah at this point. So I don't think we should be making permanent decisions in the absence of a broader long-term plan for these parklets. The other thing is the assets look very fatigued. They're tired, they're worn, and they no longer meet the community expectations. I was only out there, visited them a few times just to keep an eye on them as well. And I'm noting that another business is currently using it as an opportunity to put their flagpole in as advertising. It's smattered with cigarette butts. It needs so much repair. It has reputational risk. I feel like only a fortnight ago we heard from Barry Young from Seasons to Taste who was imploring us to remove them because of the antisocial behaviour that's happening in that space. We need vibrancy, and we really, I think we need bold ideas and events that are designed to reflect where the city is going. So I think it's time for those parklets to go. I would also like to note that there was quite a substantial figure put to removing of the parklets. I think when we're doing a trial as such, we should be really budgeting for the removal or the end of any trial that we have as well. So thank you.
Councillor Callaghan. Question from Councillor Blackman.
Thank you. A couple of questions through you to the most relevant member of staff, please.
Yeah.
Can the staff remind me, please, of the cost difference between what was the original motion in the report to retain and upkeep? So the annual cost against what it is to remove those parklets? And can the staff also remind me, please, of the usage pattern over the last few years? Has that been increasing, decreasing, and what's the total usage?
Mr. Glass.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Glacken, and through you, Mayor Mac. So the annual cost of retaining the existing parklets in situ is estimated at $10,000 per year. The motion to retire the parklets and remove them is estimated at a disposal and removal cost of $30,000 per year. Noting that it's a quotation that we've had for an estimate that we've had from the original installation that we went in some time ago.
Councillor Glacken, did you receive that?
Sorry, just to for the second element of the question was regarding the patronage of the parklets. So the parklets were installed in July 2023 with initial peak usage during that summer of 23-24 at around about 250 visitations per day. It's since come off a little bit. But during the past 12 months or so, it's averaged 111 visitations per day.
Happy? Yep. Okay. Question from Councillor Bilvan. Yeah.
Given that there was a state government initiative to tidy up the CBD, is the ownership of the parklets ours or still state government owned? As I'm looking at the disposal part of it, are we selling something or getting rid of something that's not ours?
Mr. Glass.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Bullivant. The ownership of the parklet is Albury City's.
Thank you. I have a speaker against, but I have another question from Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. Through you to the most relevant staff member. I know you said there was a peak time, and from memory, I believe it was Albury City Council that initiated activation events actually in the parklets. My question is, how many activation events were there, and what was the cost of this to the community?
Glass.
Thank you. I will take the question on notice to give you an exact number, but it was in the order of a dozen activation events during that time period. And I'll have to take the question on notice regarding the cost.
Would it have exceeded what it takes to remove it as a ballpark, or on par?
Again, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't got our cultural activation team here to actually confirm what that was, but I don't recall exactly the cost. But the nature of the events were not that expensive. Like we're talking large games, community activation, that type of thing.
A magician.
Exactly.
Okay. Councillor Hudson speaking against.
Thanks, Mayor Mac. I do speak against this on the basis that, and I totally take on board the criticisms that Councillor Callaghan and others may have of the existing parklets. They are obviously intended to be a temporary structure. What we need is a permanent little pocket park there or something. I think that it's very clear from the data of the usage of this. It's clear from the response to the public consultations that we've seen, that we will see in item 13.5 coming up around the Thurgoona commercial precinct. The community want us to have pedestrian-friendly spaces that prioritize their amenity over cars. It's clear that we have more than enough parking in our CBD. We have an average, or we have like occupancy rate of only 58%, which so nearly half the parks in the CBD sit empty. And even in peak times, there was an occupancy rate around these parklets in the last survey of 24%. So that shows that we clearly have the capacity to prioritize people over cars. And if we do that in a measured and targeted way, we have a real opportunity to revitalize Dean Street, but also other parts of our city as well if we do it. So I absolutely take on board the concerns with the specific parklets. I would really like us to take a strategic approach to our CBDs and look at providing much better pedestrian amenity. Look, whether that's a full closure of Dean Street to cars, I think that's probably a little bit of a radical idea for now, but it's something I think that we should really consider down the track, because there are plenty of regional cities around New South Wales and Victoria that have closed off parts of streets and have made amazing pedestrian malls. And I think we have a real opportunity to do that in Albury if we decided to take it. So I don't think the parklets as they exist right now are the answer, but I also don't think returning to 3 car parks is the answer either. And on that basis, I can't support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Speaker 4, Councillor Bluffin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mac. This afternoon in my tour around the city, just talking to our citizens, I spoke to a lot of the store holders in that particular area of Dean Street, and the rationale is that even though the so-called council numbers say one thing, they're telling me a completely different argument. They see lots of things there. So I went and sat in the parklets, had a look at the parklets. I counted 26 cigarette butts. That was on the floors. I counted 23 or 24 in the gardens. The gardens have been tidied up, but I do have a fundamental issue with the $10,000 a year maintenance. Well, I can categorically hand on heart tell you now it's going to cost more than $10,000 to paint those and get them revarnished, because the timber in that is deteriorating, and we need to do something about it. So I would more than happy to support Councillor Callaghan's motion, because the simple fact is that we need our Dean Street traders to be happy. And if our Dean Street traders are continually complaining about what goes on in Dean Street, and they keep pointing to that part of the Dean Street, and it's they're the ones that pay the rates, they're the ones that pay the amenity of the street. And you look at Dean Street, we need to attract more people into Dean Street, because if you look at the amount of vacant shops in Dean Street at the moment, it is also very mortifying. I cannot understand why there's so many vacant shops. So that gives us a lot of things, cost of living and all that sort of stuff. But the people I speak to, and I speak to lots of people, would like the parklets gone. So I'm happy to support Councillor Callaghan's motion.
Councillor Bluffin. Speaker against, Councillor Baker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. There's an old saying, how can I miss you if you don't go away? Now, the minute we don't have parklets, people are going to be annoyed. We need more green spaces, not less. Sure, they could be enhanced, but it's a fallacy that the parklets are preventing people shopping or going down the street. If you look around beautiful cities in the world, they're beautiful because they have got these green spaces. They make use of little triangles and all different spots where people go and sit. And parklets are a start. We should be doing more. It's crazy just to change something on a whim that's going to cost us money, and it's just a bad idea. I might be a little bit contrary. I've been opposing 3 spur of the moment changes that have come through that I didn't know anything about, but yeah, I don't think this is a wise decision, and I don't think we're making good decisions at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. Speaker 4, I had a speaker for, now I haven't. Speaker against, no speakers for, Councillor Glacken.
You. Yes, to indeed speak against this, again, alternative motion put up this evening. And I would, should this motion be lost, I foreshadow that I would be moving the original recommendation, and that was that we endorse option 1, retain the existing parklets. And apologies for looking to the right, but that's where the screen is that I'm reading the original document from. Retain the existing parklet installation at 465 Dean Street, Albury, on a semi-permanent basis, undertaking essential maintenance. Can I confirm that it is the intention of the staff that it would be a semi-permanent installation? This is not it's not the intention that this installation would be there forever. It is the staff's intention that we maintain this for what is called on a semi-permanent basis. So we maintain the facility as we have. We have a facility. It's more expensive to remove that facility than it is to maintain it. Ultimately, we do, I believe Councillor Hudson is correct, that we need something else in our CBD. But for the moment, we have a space that is working. We have over 100 people a day utilising that space. Yes, there are cigarette butts there, but there are cigarette butts everywhere. Yes, there are some vacant shops. The vacant shops are not there because of the parklets. Yes, it is 3 parking spaces, but we do know we have documentation in the report to confirm that not all parking spaces are utilised in the CBD. There is capacity for parking. We do need to ensure that we have an active space. Whether or not the cost of activation was directly related, or one might say they were related to the parklets during the early time of the parklets, is irrelevant. It was an activation within the CBD. That's positive, whether it was for the parklets or indeed it could have been for anything else to do with the CBD, just perhaps in that vicinity. I think we should continue to maintain this facility for the foreseeable future. It is far less expensive. It is an opportunity for us to have something in the CBD, similar to the discussion we have had about the Lavington space that was activated. Love Your space, I think it was, out in the Lavington area for the last 12 months. This is a similar opportunity. It's $10,000 for the next year. Maybe the next 3 or 4 years to maintain it, provides us with a facility on an ongoing basis. And I confirm that it would be a semi-permanent basis. There is no intention that this would be forever. So I cannot support this motion, the alternative motion, and again confirm that should this be lost, I foreshadow that I would be moving the original recommendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Glickin. Question from Councillor King.
To the most relevant member of staff, through you, Mayor Mac, what assurances could we have that a $10,000 budget allocation for essential maintenance will ensure that the parklets don't look run down or unloved? Because particularly during winter, and I think as Councillor Callaghan and Councillor Bullivant have both alluded to, it definitely looks tired, and it's certainly not the image we want in our main street.
Mr. Glass.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Councillor King, and through you, Mayor Mac. I'm sure that councillors would appreciate that we didn't want to go and spend a significant amount of money maintaining the parklet. So prior to making a decision to, should the council choose to retire the parklet. So we appreciate that they do look tired at the moment. We haven't in recent 6 months or so provided painting, and we've done some minor planting to it. And I can assure you, should council choose to retain the parklets, then we would go through that process of painting the woodwork and maintaining the gardens accordingly.
Follow-up?
No, thank you.
Okay. Question, Councillor Bullivant.
Through you, Mayor Mac, to the relevant member of staff. Mr. Glass, you just alluded to some preliminary maybe costings on what it would cost to get them painted and get them revarnished. Have you got a magical number that you can afford us, please?
Mr. Glass.
Yeah, I think the report sort of highlights some of the itemisation of that costing. But yeah, so out of the $10,000, $2,500 for as a buffer for unexpected repairs. And the report highlights that we did spend $500 in the past year for for addressing some of the vandalism related damages that occurred in the parklets. $5,000 for annual timber refinishing and resealing, and then $2,500 for monthly cleaning and plant maintenance.
Follow up, please, Mr.
Yeah.
Follow up, Mr. Glass. The $5,000 you're talking about for painting, that seems a bit light for me with the cost of things nowadays. We know with the cost of labour, and I think that job would be a particularly big job. I think our numbers are a bit light on the varnish. If you got any follow up on that?
Any question there? Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take your comment on board, and we haven't gone to an EOI process for it. So yeah, thank you for your guidance.
Thank you.
Thank you. There appears to be no speakers for or against, no questions. Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to close on your item? Thanks.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to reiterate that I'd like to see beautification of Dean Street and more permanent seating opportunities, and parklets really designed for the long term, parklets that provide shade in the summer and shelter in the winter. It's not a green space. The plants are dead and it's an eyesore. The only plants that are growing there now are birds of paradise, and I think they could grow on a roof. The two shops that look directly at them all day would agree that they need to go. The costs are forever ballooning, and yes, there was always going to have to be a cost to remove them. The grant funding that we received was $120,000. We spent $187,000 on installing them, well above the grant funding initially received. We've spent $34,000 on maintenance to date, putting irrigation in and updating plants and licks of paint here and there. We're proposing another $10,000 annually going forward on maintenance. We keep digging a bigger hole for something that was meant to be temporary. I would like to see activation of our CBD. I would like to see more seating. I'd like it to be considered for long term, not something with concrete bollards along our Dean Street. And when people come to town, that's what they get to look at. There is a real reputational risk here in keeping them and not removing them. Ongoing spend on declining infrastructure risks further criticism, and we've been hearing it again and again from people that own shops in Dean Street, especially amid those budget pressures. It's not wasteful to remove a trial, it's responsible to remove a trial. It has reached its end. We should take the learnings and implement it in more permanent structures along Dean Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? We have a for-all vote. Happy to vote for the recommendation of the council, so I'm voting against the motion. So we now go to the foreshadow motion, which is the original motion of council. Councillor Glacken.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, and again, I apologise, I'm looking to my left as I read. I move the recommendation as a motion that council endorse option 1, retain the existing parklet installation at 465 Dean Street, Albury, on a semi-permanent basis, undertaking essential maintenance.
Thank you. Councillor Baker.
Second the amendment, Mayor Mack.
Thank you. Councillor Glacken. I have a question from Councillor King. You're happy to take the question? Councillor King.
Just wondering, would the mover and seconder consider it coming back to council? I don't want it to come across like a bouncing ball every year, but I think, you know, if it comes back to council for review in another year, because I'm just conscious that essential maintenance really will be the indicator for my mind as to whether it's kept up to a level that we all would be happy with. So is that something that Councillor Glacken and Baker would consider adding?
Councillor Glacken, you come for that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can I suggest that the existing recommendation be point 1 and point 2 be that council continue to look for further, more permanent options. That means that the staff will then be able to, I'll talk to that in a moment.
Okay, stand by. So councillor Baker, are you comfortable with that amendment to the original motion? Councillor Baker, are you comfortable with that amendment to this original motion?
Can I please see it on the
Yep.
screen?
No
Yes.
problem. It's been proposed by councillor Baker.
Yes, I'm happy with that. If we can,
Yeah,
over time, improve on what we've got.
thank you. Councillor King, is that sort of in essence what you supported or wish to support?
There's no time frame, which is the only thing I would suggest on B. I would more propose that it comes back to council in 12 months with a view to a report for further permanent options or something along those descriptions. Happy for support from fellow councillors.
So there's a option to after maintenance to be reviewed annually.
Correct. That's
Family undertaking essential maintenance to be reviewed annually by council. Would that satisfy A and B?
I think so.
Councillor Clark, are you happy to include after maintenance to be reviewed annually by council?
Reviewed
In relation
annually
to
to be
the
part
current
of
parcel?
B. Council continue to look for further permanent options with annual review. And I don't want to change A because it says it's on a semi-permanent basis.
Okay, so council continue to look for further permanent options with annual reviews of current parklands?
To be reviewed annually, yeah.
Yep, okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor Mac, for
No
coming up
problem.
with that.
I just need to get to that. So you're comfortable with that, councillor Baker?
Can I just clarify? Council continue to look for further permanent options to
With
be
review-
reviewed annually.
Yeah, with the current parklets to be reviewed annually. That's basically based on,
This, it's the same, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
no worries.
Yeah.
We'll just wait for the words to appear on the screen. There you go. Thank you. Councillor Glaken, do you wish to open debate on that? Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. And very briefly, I confirm that the intention of the staff, and if councillors support this evening, it is indeed the intention of councillors that the existing parklets are a semi-permanent entity, and we continue to view them as such, but they need to be maintained. And it is less expensive to maintain them on an annual basis. We get the annual use out of them, which is cost effective. But at some stage in the future, a more permanent option will need to be found, or indeed they will need to be removed. But it is far more cost effective for us to retain them and to maintain them in the interim, while we continue to review and look for alternative options. This was the stance taken by the previous council, and I suggest this is the better way forward because it's more cost effective. It has a facility in the centre of town. The information that we have in our report indicates that they're being utilised. It indicates that there is greater support than not for the parklets, and I think this is a better outcome for us in the short to medium term, and no doubt in the longer term we will have an even better outcome. We cannot afford, some councillors might want us just to take these parklets away, but in the short to medium term we cannot afford to take them away, and we cannot afford to find an alternative for them in the medium to longer term. This is a much more cost-effective way forward for us and our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Question from councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I would ask the mover and seconder to consider a friendly amendment, and if they don't consider it, then I would move it as an amendment.
Yeah.
Which is that rather than we have the wording for B, we would have it as that council B request staff investigate the installation of a permanent option with a report to be delivered brought to council within 6 months.
Councillor Glaken, did you have a position
I
on
would
that?
be happy. happy to take that wording if we could just change it to be within the next 12 months on the basis that the staff clearly don't have an option in mind at the moment. It will take time to investigate that. I think our staff have a lot of things on their plate at the moment. If we're undertaking maintenance, then I think that maintenance should be able to live out the $10,000 worth as estimated by the staff. So I think if they come to us with a report within 12 months, that would be good. If they found something earlier, they could come within 12 months. In other words, earlier than 12 months.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson, are you comfortable with that, or did you wish to propose an amendment?
I'd like to propose an amendment, please, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. And your amendment is?
What I originally said, 6 months.
The council.
This doesn't need to be bigger than Ben Hur. We're not asking for the Taj Mahal on the corner of Dean and David Street or whatever it is. I just think a simple permanent extension of the curb with a tree and a bench, that's really what the community, something like that, are after. I can't imagine, with acknowledgement that the staff obviously have a significant workload, but the idea that replacing what we have there now with a permanent option would be something that it would take the staff 12 months to come up with, and I'm sure they already have thoughts, even if they haven't written them down and provided them to us in writing, I think 6 months is more than generous, frankly.
So did you just do your debate on your amendment, or
I suppose
did
I
you get a
did,
seconder
yes.
for your amendment? I'm just thinking you got a bit of runaway train then. Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to second that amendment?
I thought, sorry.
Pardon?
I think it's Mr. Bullman.
Councillor Bulvin?
I'll second that, Mayor Mac. Thank you.
Councillor Hudson, you've just erstwhile, you've already debated it, but did you wish to continue the debate?
Look, yes, I will. Thank you, Mayor Mac. Thanks for your indulgence, councillors. As I said, it doesn't need to be complex. The community clearly want comfortable pedestrian amenity, like pedestrian friendly amenity. It's a very good location. The data shows that location is being well utilized. And I think that we don't need to overcomplicate these things. I think a simple extension to the curb where the parklet is now, maybe a bit of grass, a tree with a bench around it. I mean, this is the sort of thing that I think the community would really appreciate in lieu of full pedestrianisation of Dean Street. So I think that, I think the community are really crying out for these kinds of options, and it doesn't need to be extremely complex. It doesn't need to be very expensive, but I think it would represent better value for money than the ongoing situation that we have now. So I would commend this amended motion to council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Just a question before our next speaker forward. I don't think there's speakers against this point. To Mr. Glass, just in relation to the timing or timelines of this amendment, 6 months versus 12 months. I understand there is a CBD activation plan being formulated. Is that correct, or a CBD master plan?
So thank you for your question, Mayor Mac. And you might recall, as it stated in the report, that council considered parklets in May 2023, and the original parklets the trial was to be extended until the CBD master plan had been undertaken. During our most recent budget, due to financial sustainability challenges, that master plan has now been deferred for another a period of time. I'm not sure if it's in 2 years' time from now. I think it is.
Yeah.
And that's partly why we thought we needed to bring this report to council now, because of the deferral of the master plan, and then the whole amenity for Dean Street and the CBD master plan could be more considered once that CBD master plan had been undertaken. But due to the deferral of that, we thought, well, let's just bring this to council because it was brought to council in 2023.
Yeah. So the timing of this wouldn't provide an ad hoc approach to that long-term process?
That's right.
Okay, thank you. Speaking for Councillor Baker, the amendment.
12 months, 6 months, it doesn't matter to me. I'm happy to get this voted on. Thanks.
Thank you. Any more speakers for or against the amendment? Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. Yes, I speak against this amendment because it's asking our staff to do something that they don't have the capacity for within the next 6 months. It also means that they would be reporting on a component of what is really the larger CBD master plan that they're working towards and this would be in isolation to that. We need to consider the recommendation from the staff tonight that we maintain the existing facility on a semi-permanent basis, because that is the best and most cost-effective way forward for the meantime, for the short to medium term, until the staff are able to complete their CBD master plan. Once they've completed that master plan, we can then look at a more permanent or longer term option. This is the most cost-effective way for the next 12 to 24 months. I urge councillors to not support Councillor Hudson's amendment, because it puts a time constraint that is unrealistic and will not support the bigger picture, longer term master planning. I ask councillors to support the original motion, as is my existing motion at the moment, not this amendment. We need to spend the $10,000 a year for the next couple of years to maintain this facility, and then we can work towards a more permanent facility that will become part of that master plan. Please, councillors, do not support this amendment. Please support the original motion of the staff. That is the most practical, most cost-effective way forward and the best future for our CBD in Albury. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glaskin. Speaker with a question, Councillor Bullivant.
Through you, Mayor Mac, to the relevant member of staff.
Yes.
Mr. Glass, just with what Councillor Glaskin was proposing then, what and or if time constraints, if this motion went through, where are we at with your department's workload? Can it be achieved or can't be achieved in the timeframes that are required?
Mr. Glass.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Councillor Bullivant. It won't be just my department; it'll be a number of departments that would address identifying a permanent option. There's a number of reasons why the word semi-permanent was used. One, of course, is that the services that run under the existing parklet prevent it from becoming a permanent structure where it is forever, because it's got water and sewer that run under there. So it can never be a permanent structure in the current location. Finding an alternate location is challenging. However, I think the intent of Councillor Hudson's commentary is to actually make the amenity around the existing parklet a lot more attractive than what it is today. And I think that could be achieved. But in terms of resourcing, that would involve a number of teams, not city landscapes, notwithstanding. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bullivant. Speaker against, so Councillor the question, Councillor Callaghan.
I'm happy to take this on notice, but just wondering what the cost would be for a circular bench with a tree in the middle installed on Dean Street. Thank you.
Mr. Glass.
Take it on notice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaker against, I still have another question. Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. This is a question for Councillor Hudson. In B, could we add one word, request council officers to investigate a more permanent option? Put more in there.
Options.
Councillor Hudson.
I think we're probably getting down to a bit of semantics at this point. I mean, fundamentally, it sounds to me like the issue that a lot of the councillors have is that by spending money on a semi-permanent option, we're essentially just kicking the can down the road. So my intention was that by investigating and to be clear, this is simply an investigation of a permanent option. I mean, if the staff come back and say it's not feasible to do for whatever reason, or it would cost, a lot of money, and we decide not to do it, that's fine. We have that information before us. But I just think that if we go with a more permanent option, that still means it's a semi-permanent option. Again, this is an argument of semantics for me, but I think surely we're just setting ourselves up to have this debate again, are we not?
Am I able to answer that? I think more is a really good word to put in there. I do read a lot and it makes more sense. Permanent means it's there forever. More permanent means it's more permanent than what's there now. But
Well,
Councillor Hudson.
Yes, I'm happy to accept it as a friendly amendment. I mean, nothing in this world is permanent, Councillor Baker, but I think the staff probably have a good sense of the intent behind the motion, and I'm happy for it to be a more permanent option.
I love these friendly amendments, friendly changes, more permanent option, right? I'm not sure about the table in the middle of Dean Street. Okay, Councillor King speaking against the amendment. Thank you.
I speak against this amendment. My preference is to allow that 12 months with the essential maintenance budget allocation to just see if that is fit for purpose, because, and I've sort of sat on the fence a little bit until listening to debate and you know, hearing everyone's perspectives, but sort of hearing from the officer today that his confidence that that $10,000 budget would ensure that it doesn't look run down and unloved, and understanding that the reason it does at the moment is that they didn't want to invest in this parklet because they knew it potentially may be dismantled, but depending on what the will of the councillors are. So my preference is to give it that full 12 months as per Councillor Glacken's original motion. So that's my preference, and that's why I won't be supporting this particular amendment.
Thank you. Question from Councillor Bullivan. Is this a question or a statement?
No, it's a question. Through you, the relevant member of staff.
Yes.
Depending on which way this motion may go, yay or nay, how long would it take to, or have we got budget to start the maintenance on these facilities?
Mr. Glass.
Thank you for your question. The Economic Development team have got $10,000 budgeted for the maintenance of the parklets in this current year's budget. And the progression of the maintenance would make it a priority, but it would be subject to availability of other teams, etc.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Okay, there appears to be no further speakers for or against the amendment. Happy for Councillor Hudson to close debate on the amendment. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I think enough has probably been said on this topic, although I will say often less is more, and I believe by providing a sensible 6-month time frame, we may rein in the more extravagant suggestions the staff might come up with, thereby potentially saving us money. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. That was a very Moorish closing. Okay, happy to vote on the amendment. Those for the amendment, thanks, councillors. Those against the amendment is carried, which now becomes part of the motion. Okay, now do we wish to speak any further on the motion? No, I'm happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. More is less. Okay. Draft unsolicited proposals policy 13.4 public exhibition. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Bracken.
Thank you. Through you, to move the recommendation that council endorse the draft unsolicited proposals policy, place the draft unsolicited proposal policy on public exhibition for 28 days, and if no submissions are received seeking amendments, the unsolicited proposal policy be adopted and included in the Albury City Public Policy Register.
Thank you, Councillor Glacken. A seconder, thanks. Councillor King.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Councillor Glacken, did you wish to speak to that?
This is an administrative area, but it's also a policy administrative area. It's an opportunity for us as a council to consolidate potential opportunities for the future, where people may or may not, entities may make contact with council, offering opportunities to us. And this provides us with a policy and a format, a process that our staff would undertake. It ensures that it is a transparent way forward with such such unsolicited opportunities in the future. It's going up for public comment, and it'll be interesting to see if there is any feedback on this. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Gluckin. Any further questions or debate? No, happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. 13.5, the Thurgoona Commercial Precinct intersection improvements and Shooter Avenue proposal, public consultation outcomes. Thank you, councillor Bullivant.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I move the recommendation that Council A receive and note the community feedback in relation to the Thurgoona Commercial Sub-Precinct intersection improvement, which will be incorporated as part of the next project phase concept design considerations, and B, receive and note staff assessments for resourcing and timing assessment for the Shooter Avenue upgrade as per 23rd June 2025 CM 13.2 section B 7, and review resourcing and timing for the Shooter Avenue upgrade and provide a report to council within 3 months, and C, approve the allocation of $200,000 for the design development of the Shooter Avenue and Thurgoona Drive intersection, with adjustments being accommodated for the next quarterly budget review, considering other projects, timing, scheduling, or project savings.
Thank you, councillor Callaghan.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you, councillor Bullivant. Do you wish to speak to that, or do you want to take a breath?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac. It was very evident within the council group and within the staff cohort here that in our building that I've been a very big advocate for Shooter Avenue and the Thurgoona-Willinga district getting traffic moving and get progress happening out there. And it's part of, if you look at the council group here, part of the election campaign, or most of the councils here, was to get something done in the Thurgoona area. So anything that we can get done for roads in the Thurgoona area, I'm all for. So the sooner we can get a design happening and let our residents in the Thurgoona area know that something is happening for them on their behalf, and the council's actually doing something about what their needs are, I'm all for it.
Thank you. No speakers against, no questions. Speaker for, councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I do speak for the motion. I think it's very sensible. I note the alacrity with which will be provided with a report, so I think that's good. But I wanted to say that I thought it was really telling that the community feedback shows that walking and riding improvements, amenity improvements, and environmental protection rated so highly. Certainly the Shooter Avenue the actual intersection upgrade was the key priority of the respondents from the community, but for the Thurgoona Drive and the Tabletop Road portions of the precinct, amenity improvements, walking and riding, and environmental protection were extremely highly rated. So it's very clear, as I said in the previous debate, that the community do want improvements to pedestrian amenity. They want better connectivity for active transport. They want environmental protection. And I think that look forward to seeing what the staff come back to us with. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Hudson. No speakers against. We've got no questions. Councillor Baker speaking for.
Thanks, Mayor Mac. Yes, I would agree with Councillor Bullivant and Hudson. I was particularly interested in learning that traffic lights are more pedestrian friendly than roundabouts, even though roundabouts are better for cars. And it's loud and clear that people would like to walk if they could, and they're often fearful of crossing busy roads, and this would give them the ability to not use their car, and it'll have a win-win situation. So I think it's a really good proposal.
Thank you, councillor Baker. Speaker for, but just one question or clarification, probably you, Mr. Lawson, in relation to the difference in this context, Shooter Avenue with roundabouts versus traffic lights, because I understand the collection point is the bigger issue with a roundabout at that location. Could you just clarify that for those that are listening, or just those that don't understand why we prefer this option?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Through you, Mayor Mac. So essentially, the roundabout, as has been detailed, is doesn't work overly efficiently when there's differing volumes on each leg, and also for our active transport is not as efficient. With this particular intersection, it's such configured that it would suit the installation of traffic lights very easily, and obviously improve traffic movement for all users. whereas a roundabout in this instance would require significant works and earthworks to improve the intersection to ensure that we could fit a roundabout within that area. It would also impact some of the environmental areas in that location as well.
So in terms of the Shooter Avenue leg though, because it's so short, it would actually cause more congestion in that space. Is that correct? Coming out of the car park and anyone using Shooter Avenue?
Correct. Because it is such a short distance between Leahy and Thurgoona Drive, the installation of the roundabout would shorten that length even further, where this provides a greater queuing distance in that leg.
Thank you. Councillor King speaking for, no speakers against.
Just speaking in support of the motion, I think councillors have been pretty unanimous about really pushing this as a priority, and just want to acknowledge the officers in the great work they've done in ramping up community feedback and input, which they've provided, which is terrific. And I know we do have budget pressures, but noting C of this motion is looking at other projects and timing and scheduling for project savings, because this really has become quite the safety issue. And I even last Wednesday at around 5 o'clock, I know it was peak hour, but sort of heading, I guess, west along Thurgoona Drive on my way to a business after hours, I nearly T-boned a car running the gauntlet coming out of Shooter Avenue. I can only assume they were impatient at the time, but if it wasn't for both cars, myself and another coming in the other direction that actually stopped and braked to allow this car to sort of weave its way through, we would have been another statistic. When I've shopped there from time to time, you'll see that there's been engine oil or bits of material on the road. There's been evidence of another collision. So I think safety, with the amount of development that is happening out there, it's clear that while we wait for Thurgoona link roads and things of that nature to come along, this really has become quite the priority for people living and driving in that area. So appreciate we've put the pressure on the officers to really come forward with some solutions. Appreciate the community giving some wonderful feedback, lots of different things, as Councillor Hudson has mentioned, in terms of pedestrian access and also long parking. You know, a lot of opportunities for tradies with trailers, you know, that there's problems trying to park for them as well. So that's certainly been addressed in the feedback, and those are some of the options that our officers are looking at. So certainly happy to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor King. No speakers for against and no questions. Councillor Callaghan speaking for.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Happy to support the motion here before us this evening, but I think it's going to be critical to continue monitoring those sub-precincts at the Thurgoona Commercial Precinct locality, given that there will be changes to traffic over time as more businesses start to locate and build. And we know they've got the Coles there in the Diamond Drive, but there'll be other businesses that pop up there too. So, yeah, I think it's going to be critical to keep an eye on those sub-precincts there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. There are no speakers for or against remaining or questions. Just to finish up before I go to Councillor Bullin, just in relation to Thurgoona and certainly Shooter Avenue, to your point, Councillor King, that impatient driver could have been an inpatient, and certainly that is a concern. There is evidence out in that intersection of minor accidents and accidents in general, but essentially the congestion at that point is quite significant and has been for quite some time, given the growth of Thurgoona, given the recent increases in the development contribution plans for Thurgoona. I think developer contributions need to be dedicated to growing the corridor, making the corridor safer, and transiting through the corridor a lot more easier to do, and families get the assurances and get to where they need to be safely. And certainly Thurgoona Link Road is one of those projects. Is quite a cost to the community, but it is a much needed asset in that precinct. To the point of this particular project, I think again it's something that we as all councillors do value and certainly continue to value. And I think again, to Councillor Bullin's point, we need to demonstrate to the community of Thurgoona that we are serious about making this intersection safer and making a change that will value add to their day-to-day visitations to that precinct. So thank you. Councillor Bullin, did you wish to close debate?
More of a statement, Mayor Mac. What I would like to say is that to our residents in the Thurgoona, we are listening, and Councillor King's point in case tonight that she was at least a tiff the other night. So we are listening. We are under a few budget constraints, but we will move heaven and earth in our time in this council to get things done in Thurgoona. That's one of the mandates I have. I don't have many mandates other than looking after the people of Albury. And that's one of the things that this council group wants to get through. So I will support anything that goes to Shooter Avenue and Thurgoona Link Road as it comes up, and we'll be pushing to get what we can get done on your behalf.
Thank you, councillor Bullman. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you. 13.6 Draft Weed Management Policy Stakeholder Engagement Plan. Thank you, councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I move that council endorse the stakeholder engagement plan for the draft weed management policy and progress stakeholder engagement to support development of the policy.
Thank you, councillor Callaghan.
Happy to second the motion.
Councillor Hudson, did you wish to speak to that or ask a question?
I'd like to ask a number of questions of staff, if that's okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor Mack, through you. I note in the stakeholder engagement plan, it mentions general public, but there isn't any sort of explicit mention of, say, land care groups or Friends of Nalcan Hill or TAFE or CSU, that sort of thing. Do those groups need to be explicitly included, or would they be covered by the existing stakeholders?
Mr. Costello.
Thanks very much for the question, councillor Hudson, and through you, Mayor Mack. Whilst they're not listed explicitly there, out of an abundance of caution, we're happy to list those key groups specifically, as you've indicated there.
Yeah, thank you.
In the SEP, and make that amendment.
I have a number of follow-up questions.
Follow-up.
With the so the plan mentions natural areas or bushland under Albury City management, but it doesn't explicitly mention waterways, sort of creek areas, that sort of thing. And given that the particular sensitivity of those areas to pesticides, herbicides, runoff of chemicals, that sort of thing, do they need to be explicitly mentioned in the policy, or is that something that would be essentially covered by the existing?
Mr. Costello.
Again, thanks for the question, councillor Hudson. And through the engagement process, we'd be asking the community for their feedback on the types of sensitive areas. We're happy to nominate some of those particular examples, but certainly we'd be we'd be asking some open questions around the types of areas the community would like to see as priorities for or sensitive areas for us to expand that definition of sensitive areas. So certainly creeks and waterways are one example that come to mind, and in articulating and promoting the community consultation, we can list those as examples of particularly sensitive areas.
Great, thank you. And just one final question. I think that in some council areas, they actually have like an online register or a map of that shows recent and upcoming applications of pesticides, which is sort of visible to the community. Is there an option or a possibility that something like that could be implemented in Albury's case? Like, do staff, when they're planning out the use of these chemicals, do they have any kind of system that would be conducive to that?
Mr. Costello.
Thanks for the question, councillor Hudson, and again through you, Mayor Mack. So we have the pesticide use notification plan that outlines our responsibilities and the way we communicate with the public, and there's a range of different mechanisms and means for the way we do communicate those works. Without going into detail here, but the example you raised with an interactive map is one that we don't currently use. But that being said, we could look at some of the alternative options that are provided by other council areas, if that is the case. But certainly, we do communicate with the public through those published in our pesticide use notification plan.
Thank you.
And did you wish to have a debate on that item, councillor Hudson?
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I will. I think it's quite a comprehensive plan. I think there are probably a few areas that could be improved, but in general, I think it's a very good draft policy, and I look forward to hearing what the community have to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate? No questions? No. We're happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. 13.7 Bunga Rother Creek Flood Study Stakeholder Engagement Plan. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Callaghan.
I'd like to move that the council endorse the stakeholder engagement plan for the Bungamble-Rother Creek Flood Study Review and agree to progress stakeholder engagement as part of the project. Thank you.
Councillor Gluckin.
A second, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mayor Mack.
Any further question or debate? Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried. CM14 officers reports for noting the investment balance is June 2025. Thank you, councillors. 14.1, councillor Blacken.
Thank you. Through you to move the recommendation as a motion that council receive and note the investment balances report for the month of June 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant.
Second it, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor Blacken, do you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you. Happy for it to be put.
Thank you. There appears to be no further questions or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you. 14.2 Youth Council Summary Report, March to June 2025. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. I'd like to move that council receive and note the Youth Council achievements as outlined in the Youth Council Summary Report, March 2025 to June 2025.
Thank you. Councillor King.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
There's been no questions or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. 14.3 Two Cities One Community Strategic Action Plan Progress Update 1 January to 30th of June 2025. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I'd like to move that council receives and notes the Two Cities One Community Strategic Action Plan 2022 to 2025 progress updates 1st of January to the 30th of June 2025. Thank you.
Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second it, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. All right. Happy to put that motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. CM15, we have no delegates reports for noting. We have any notice of urgent business, councillors? Doesn't appear to be. Okay. We have confidential matters, 17.1. Thank you, councillors. Someone to move us into confidential. A break in a sec. Just one moment. We might have a pause before we move that motion to go into confidential. Councillor Bullivant. And anyone else needs a break? Be without Darren Cameron. Oh, we got Bill.
for another year.
Okay, councillors, we need to have a councillor to move us into confidential. Thank you. Councillor Bukowski?
I move that council move into confidential to discuss item CM 17.1, as this is a confidential item exclusive of press or public on the grounds that the matter relates to. 2, the matters and information are the following. C, information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a person with whom the council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. D, commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, 1, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it. Local Government Act 1993, number 30, section 10A 2CDI.
Thank you. Seconded, councillor Glycan?
Thank you. Happy to second.
Thank you. I now ask anyone in the chamber that has any reason why we shouldn't go into confidential. Silence. There are none. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Okay. I'd now to remind the live streamers the motion to move into confidential has now been carried. For our live stream viewers, we will now say goodbye. You can find the outcome of this confidential session in the meeting minutes, which are published on the Albury City website within 2 business days.